All right, let's talk about those moments in football that just make you shake your head. We're counting down the top 10 plays where skill was great, but a little bit of pure dumb luck was, well, it was everything. Let's get right into it.
You know, this quote just nails it, doesn't it? We're not just talking about great plays. We're talking about moments that live on this razor's edge between unbelievable talent and just total random chance. It's a reminder that in a game of inches, sometimes that last inch is just plain luck.
So what even makes a play lucky? Well, we're talking about those physics-defying bounces, the referee calls that are a total coin flip, or when an opponent makes a mistake at the worst possible second. These aren't just game winners. These are the plays that change a franchise's destiny and create legends out of nowhere.
Okay, the stage is set. Let's kick off this countdown with 4 plays that just spit in the face of probability and left everybody watching completely stunned. Kicking us off at number 10, the Music City Miracle. The whole thing boiled down to one simple question. Was that a legal lateral or an illegal forward pass? I mean, it was a total 50-50 call. The refs said lateral, and that single decision didn't just win the game, it sent the Bills spiraling into a 17-year playoff drought. Talk about a lucky break. Coming in at number 9, we've got a play that just shouldn't be possible. Brett Favre heaves one deep, it gets tipped, and Antonio Freeman hits the turf. Play's over, right? Nope. The ball somehow bounces perfectly off his shoulder, pops into the air, and falls right into his hands while he's lying on the ground. He just gets up and walks it in. You can't draw that up. That is 100% pure, unfiltered luck. And at number 8, we see just how cruel luck can be. The Saints pull off a play that's basically a lottery ticket. A 75-yard touchdown with 3 laterals as time expires. It's a miracle. Until it wasn't. Their kicker, John Carney, then shanks the extra point. The easiest play in football. They lose. It's the perfect example of the football gods giving with one hand and taking away with the other. Number 7 is that perfect blend of incredible skill and a little bit of magic. Now, Santonio Holmes' body control was insane, for sure. But let's be real. To drag both toes inside the only possible square inches of green grass with a defender all over you, that's when fortune smiles on you. A Super Bowl was decided by the width of a toenail. Just an incredible moment where talent met the perfect opportunity. All right, now we're getting into the heavy hitters. These next 3 plays aren't just lucky. They're basically NFL myths, the kind of moments that get their own names, whispered by fans for decades. Look, any Hail Mary is, by its very nature, lucky. But this one from Aaron Rodgers was just on another level. He's scrambling for his life, throwing across his body, and launches this thing 61 yards on a rope. And it's not some lucky tip either. Jeff Janis just goes up and high points it over 2 defenders. The odds of that happening in the playoffs to force overtime is just astronomical. Coming in at number 5 is the moment of pure comedy. Unless you were a Jets fan. The butt fumble. Now for Mark Sanchez, this was historically unlucky. But for the Patriots, it was a gift. The ball didn't just drop to the ground. Oh no. It bounced with perfect spin right into the hands of Steve Gregory, who was already running at full speed. That one lucky bounce turned a goofy blooper into one of the most iconic defensive scores of all time.
Number 4 wasn't just one lucky event. It was a whole chain of them. Let's break it down. First off, Eli Manning should have been sacked. How he escaped, I'll never know. Second, he just throws it up for grabs. And then, the craziest part, David Tyree, a guy who is mostly a special teamer, pins the ball against his own helmet with one hand. If any one of those things doesn't happen, the play's dead, and the Patriots finish a perfect 19-0. Instead, history was made.
Okay, here we are, the Mount Rushmore of luck. These are the top 3, the plays that felt less like football and more like, I don't know, fate.
Before we get to number 3, just look at this number. 70. 70 yards. I want you to really picture that. That's how far a football flew through the air in a playoff game with everything on the line. Just think about that for a second.
And that brings us to the Mile High Miracle. This play is famous not for an amazing catch, but for an absolutely catastrophic defensive blunder. Safety Raheem Moore had one job: keep everything in front of you. Instead, he mistimes his jump so badly that Joe Flacco's 70-yard prayer just sails over his head into the waiting arms of Jacoby Jones. That one, single, incredibly lucky break didn't just tie the game. It sent the Ravens on a run that ended with them hoisting the Lombardi Trophy.
At number 2, it's the play people are still arguing about half a century later, the Immaculate Reception. This thing had layers of luck. First, the deflection itself. Who did it hit? An offensive player, a defensive player, nobody knows. Second, rookie Franco Harris just happens to be in the exact right place at the exact right time. And third, he somehow scoops the ball inches off the grass. It was a perfect storm of chance that kicked off the entire Steelers dynasty.
And here's what makes the luck so legendary. The rule back then said if the ball hit the Steelers receiver first, the play was illegal. Game over, Raiders win. But because nobody on earth could tell for sure who touched it, the touchdown stood. An entire dynasty was born from a call that, to this day, is a complete mystery. That's unbelievable luck.
So here we are. After all the impossible bounces, the Hail Marys, and the borderline calls, we've reached the very top. The single luckiest, most jaw-dropping play this sport has ever given us.
And at number 1, the Minneapolis Miracle. What makes this the luckiest play ever is that it wasn't some wild, desperate heave. It was a normal sideline pass to set up a field goal. The game ends with a simple tackle, but Saints safety Marcus Williams decides to go for a big hit, dives way too early and completely whiffs, taking out his own teammate in the process. Stefon Diggs just keeps his balance, turns around, and sees nothing but daylight. A single, fundamental mistake created the only walk-off touchdown in NFL playoff history.
Honestly, I don't even have to say a word here. That call says it all. The pure, raw shock in Joe Buck's voice, because that's what it was. It was so sudden, so impossible. The only word you could find was unbelievable. Which brings us to the big question, right? Yeah, Stefon Diggs showed amazing awareness to stay on his feet and keep running. But did he really make that play happen? Or was he just the lucky guy standing there when the single most poorly timed defensive mistake in NFL history went down? So, after looking back at all these wild moments, what's the big takeaway? What does it all really mean?
I think it's this. The truly unforgettable moments, the ones burned into football history forever, aren't the ones you draw up in a playbook. They're the ones that defy all logic. They're the moments that remind you that this game we love can sometimes just come down to a crazy bounce, a wild mistake, or maybe just a little gift from the gridiron gods.
And that's our list. It leaves me with one final question for you. What's the luckiest play you've ever seen? The one that made you just throw your hands up and say, how did that just happen? Let us know. Thanks for hanging out.